Welcome, everyone. This is Magic and Mountains,
the T.A. Barron podcast.
Today, let's welcome two wonderful special guests. Phebe Meyers is one of the world's most wonderful people. How else could I say it? She is creative, caring, wise, and full of a generosity of spirit that is awesome. As a teen, Phebe founded a youth group called Change the World Kids. Don't you just love that name? The group raised over $100,000 to protect crucial rainforest habitat in Costa Rica, land that linked existing wildlands to create a migration corridor for wildlife, including glorious tropical songbirds. Currently, Phebe runs all the community programs at the Aspen Center for Environmental Studies in Aspen, Colorado. So, as you can tell, her great positive energy continues to make a huge impact. Claire Vlases from Bozeman, Montana, simply radiates enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm is electrifying, literally. While in middle school in Bozeman, Claire created and led Solar Makes Sense, an initiative that she founded. First, she organized a bunch of kids who raised all the money needed to install solar panels on her middle school. No small task. But then she didn't stop. She galvanized the whole community, sparking a movement to embrace renewable energy and commit to more green building. Get this, to make sure that her dreams were going to come true, Claire even trick-or-treated as a solar panel that year, asking for donations to the cause instead of candy. She also talked the local energy company into helping to fund more solar panels. So, put it this way, solar is a great energy source, but Claire is an even more powerful energy source. So, my first question for you two is to tell us about the origins of your service project when you were at that young and formative age when the idea first came to you. Let's start with you, Phebe.
Thank you, Tom, so much for having us on your podcast, and excited to share a little bit of our stories with this audience. I co-founded Change the World Kids with my twin sister, Nika, and we didn't document exactly how we started this organization because it was in response to hearing about some horrible news across the seas, whether it was a war or a earthquake. But we wanted to do something to help. And we knew that traveling over to that spot was unrealistic at the time. We were 8. But we got a group of friends together and decided to do what we could do as 8-year-olds and help in our community. Our first project was helping an elderly family, both compromised by illness, garden, and stack their wood. And it just grew from there. We did all sorts of projects that 8-year-olds could do. This started as a project a month, then it moved into a project every few weeks. Now the organization is doing up to 6 projects or more a week and many projects, both locally and globally.
Did anybody ever try to tell you, come on, kids can't make a difference. Kids aren't going to change the world?
Yes, they looked at us and said, this is cute. This will be a phase. And we were like, no, we're not stopping. And the energy from our friends and from community members really just got us going too. And it's still in existence today. It's a teen-run nonprofit tackling local and global humanitarian issues, just trying to make a positive difference in the world.
Terrific. Claire, tell us about your journey. How did you come up with the idea to install solar panels on your school?
So when I was around 13, I don't know. I guess the reason why I came up with it is growing up in Montana, I have a huge appreciation for nature and the land. And I I've learned through my family and through, I guess, the community in Bozeman and in Montana that the land is something worth protecting. And so one day when I was going to school in 7th grade, I looked up at the flat roof of my middle school and thought there was a lot of sun that could be used to make energy. And
Did that idea just occur to you? It just popped in your mind?
Well, I had recently been learning about different renewable energies in class, and then I figured if I'm learning about it, why isn't not something I see every day? And then I decided that I could take that project on and make it something kids do see every day.
Fabulous. Did you have any mentors or people who encouraged you on that journey?
My project, the Solar Makes Sense project, was a huge community effort. We raised over $125,000, so it took a lot of people to get that involved.
Now, most of that came from your Halloween costume, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I'd say my biggest mentor was my principal at the time, Principal Grissom. He just supported me from day one. I took my idea to get solar panels to him, and he thought it was a great idea and drove me later that day to present to architects and contractors and tell them about the idea of getting solar panels on the middle school because the school is going through a remodel in the coming years, which that was not well received by idea. I didn't have much of a foundation at all, and I heard over and over that it was just something that was not feasible. Estimates were, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which the school didn't have that kind of money for renewable energy at the time. And so I figured, well, what if I got the money? And so I did.
You didn't miss a beat. Many kids would have stopped right there.
Yeah, it was hard. Right after that first meeting, I went home, cried a little bit, and then I realized I didn't have much of a concept of how much money $120,000 was at all. I didn't really know anything about money at all. So I figured that was something I could get, within the week. It wasn't.
No.
So, months later, through a lot of fundraising, community organizing, and meeting with incredible, generous people all around my community, it was able to happen.
You somehow made it a community event, didn't you?
It was a community event from the beginning just because solar panels is, I guess it's a public good, so it's shared by everyone. And the love for the environment and respect for land and nature is also shared by everyone. So it just had to be something the whole community needed to invest in, even to make it happen.
But you, like Phebe, won the support of people who are focused on other things. How did you do that? How did you get people to pay attention, to realize this is important? This should be at the top of your priority list.
The first thing I did was start by just showing up. So I went to school board meetings and I talked about it. And I went to other meetings with architects and contractors, and I talked about it. I got a feasibility study. I talked about it. And I let everyone know just what was going on and how we could make it happen. For example, I presented to the school board one time after a meeting for the public comment section. And it was right after some architects and contractors talked about their plans for the school, and they said they wanted it to be a 21st century building. And I stood up and I said, what's a 21st century building without solar panels?
Oh,
and
perfect.
that got some media attention. So then, I started doing interviews. I talked to people. I got other students involved and going around canvassing door to door, business to business, asking for funds. From there, it became something everyone could get involved in.
Fabulous. Even if you didn't have a solar panel costume on, you could be part of it. Now, Phebe You had to convince people to listen to you as a young 8-year-old and let you persuade them that you could actually make a difference. How did you do that?
Believing in yourself and also knowing that trying your hardest is the best you can do.
Beautiful. So tell us, what was your biggest project?
Our big project that I specifically won the Barron Prize for was a project that came out from observing fewer songbirds at our bird feeders and finding the answer in the deforested landscapes of Costa Rica. Our family went down there when I was 12, and we stayed at a biological center in Monteverde and learned from biologists that were staying there that there was this project that they were starting to try to purchase land and connect a migratory corridor that was crucial habitat for indigenous birds and the neotropical songbirds. And we learned that many of our neotropical songbirds in Vermont wintered in these very forests that were no longer on the slopes of the mountains in Costa Rica. And we were like, we can help. We started actively getting donations and trying to raise money to protect this corridor in Costa Rica that benefited our birds as well. And it was just such an amazing experience in 2004. We as a group went down there for the first time, and just to have our hands in the soil and to really be doing the reforestation, to be able to be on the lands that we've helped purchase. And over the years, thousands of acres and hundreds of thousands of dollars has been raised to protect this migratory corridor. And the group is actually the Change the World kids are heading on their 18th year, going down to Costa Rica in a few weeks to continue that work and to see the trees that we planted in 2004 and to see the trees now being, 30, 40, 50 feet tall.
I'm curious, both of you, how has this journey, how has this experience, the challenges, the obstacles, as well as the successes and surprises, how has it changed you? What difference has it made in your lives? Phebe?
The power of acting upon a dream and sharing that and connecting with people in place are lessons that I learned through this work and continue very much with my work that I do today.
How about you, Claire?
Well, earlier you asked Phoebe how she got people to listen to her when she was young. And I think that's what I really learned through my project, because I didn't know anything about the limitations of the funding or what I could or couldn't do, because I had no understanding of, a type of ceiling. I thought I could do anything. And because of that, I was motivated to do anything, to do everything. And so even though it was hard to get people to listen or to understand that I had a big dream or a passion, I found that some people would listen to me more because I was a kid, just because I was voicing a group that was usually unheard. There's not a lot of kids that come to school board meetings, for example. And so I learned that if I think like a kid, if I think like there's nothing I can't do, then I'm able to do just about anything I set my mind to. If I think about something without worrying of the limitations of that thing, I'm able to do much more. And yeah, I guess I've learned you can do anything if you think you can, and if you're not worried about what other people think or say.
Marvelous. Powerful. Claire, when you see the scale of problems in our world, what renews your hope? What gives you, again, that jolt of possibility and the worthiness of trying?
That's a hard question, just because it's easy to get caught up in everything. It's a whirlwind every day. And it's easy to feel helpless with all the things that are going on And especially for kids who can't yet vote or know much about civil participation, it's really hard to feel like your voice is heard. But I think what is most inspiring to me to keep going with community projects and community service is learning about projects like Phebe or the other Gloria Barron Prize winners, but also learning and hearing about their communities that are willing to support them. And so, even if you're not out here with giant, big ideas of how to change the world, but someone else that is, I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to support other people and help them on their journeys. Because, it just takes one person to be a leader, but it takes everyone else to get behind that and support that. And I think we usually get caught up on who the leader is or the spearheader of each project, but really it's the base of support and the community that makes all the difference. And so I think any time that you can get involved with something, even if it's a small, it doesn't have to even be a financial donation, just anything you can do to help someone else, that's what inspires me every day.
So true. Wonderful. Thank you. Phebe, what renews your hope?
Relationships recharge my battery and the natural world. And I think that, like Claire was saying, action does not need to be starting a nonprofit or doing something seemingly huge. It really can be those small acts or those personal choices that you make and how you relate to each other in the natural world. To choose how you want to walk through this wild world.
Thank you. Thank you both, Phebe and Claire. It's been a delight and an inspiration to talk with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, folks, that concludes our podcast season number 1. We've explored the myth and magic of Merlin, the mysteries of the creative process, the power of seeing your life as a story, the wonders and challenges of nature, and the inspiration of young heroes. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. And if so, stay tuned for more to come in the future. And meanwhile, may you have magical days.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Magic in Mountains, the T.A. Barron podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. For more information and to find all of TA's books, visit tabarron.com. Have a magical week.